I reluctantly agreed to an open marriage with my wife, Bria, when I fell in love with a coworker. My ex lost control and tried to ruin everything. I, 47, have been married to Bria, 42, for 17 years. However, we only lived together for roughly 7 years. A decade ago, I discovered Bria cheating on me, and she admitted that she had fallen out of love and desired an open marriage. We have 2 children. The older was a toddler and the younger was still a baby when this occurred. It was heartbreaking to me. She stated that having back-to-back pregnancies had a negative impact on her physical and emotional health, and she wished to freshen up. Unfortunately, her method of relaxation was to bring various men into bed. Divorce was complicated at that stage, with 2 small children and a meager income. I decided to let her live her life as I relocated upstairs in our duplex home. We became co-parents for our children. It wasn't as hunky-dory as it seems. We split up with a lot of hatred and name-calling, largely from me since she cheated, but soon we got caught up in work and life, and I moved on and became more relaxed. A few months ago, I met Sarah, 35F, at work. She's my junior, and we hit it off immediately. Bonding with her felt more natural than anything I'd experienced in a long time. It wasn't a romantic connection at first. We connected as understanding coworkers and spent time together outside of work, still simply as friends. We made out last month, and I had a unique feeling for her. She has been crashing at my apartment on a regular basis since then, which technically affects my wife. Bria is still my wife, and we are still married. Bria has been acting strangely these days. Sarah hangs out with me and attempts to command authority, like a wife. I had to remind her that we are separated, and I can live my life as she has for years. It is difficult to express what she has been doing, but I will try. Sarah and I were eating dinner one evening in my kitchen. Bria arrived and asked, "Can I join you guys?" It became an extremely awkward time for both of us. Sarah and I gazed at each other, surprised. Bria sat down with her dish without waiting for a response. We ate supper like strangers, smiling politely, despite Bria's forced chat. Our supper was ruined, but I gave Bria the benefit of the doubt, believing she was simply trying to fit in. Then there was another incident in which she was bossy, attempting to impose her rights as a wife. Sarah and I were upstairs watching a movie when Bria barged in and requested me to join her. When I questioned what was wrong, she answered, "Your children need you. The younger one needs your assistance with a scientific project." I was surprised since we had divided the schoolwork. I helped the older child, and she takes care of the smaller. I informed her that I had already done my part for our eldest kid, and that this was now her responsibility. She became enraged and exclaimed, "Is this kid not yours? Instead of assisting him, you're here lurking?" This resulted in a full-blown confrontation between Bria and me. Sarah, feeling embarrassed, excused herself and left. Sarah told me after that episode that she would no longer hang out at my apartment, though we continued to meet at hers. But why should I sacrifice my life when I've never touched hers? She's been living her life her way, bringing whatever male she wants into the house, and I've always looked the other way. Bria is purposely attempting to break the link I've formed with someone. I addressed Bria the other day, and she replied she wasn't worried by my close relationship with Sarah. She refused to accept actions, claiming I was overthinking. I informed her that if she continued to intervene in my life, I would consider getting divorced. She had tears in her eyes and apologized for disturbing us. She was only worried about our son's unfinished assignment and was preoccupied with her work, so she asked me for assistance. I claimed it wasn't a call for help. It was nothing short of gaslighting. She then contacted Sarah, apologized, and invited her to come over. Sarah accepted the apologies but set boundaries, explaining that she preferred to meet me at her home. I am currently in a difficult situation. I want to get rid of Bria, but I'm worried she'll destroy my growing connection with Sarah. I'm thinking of obtaining a divorce. The only reason I didn't file for divorce back then was that I didn't want my children to have to pick between their mother and father. Now I'm contemplating if I should go forward with it and prioritize myself over everyone else, including my children. Should I wait a few years for my children to grow up before making a move? I'm not sure Sarah will wait for me till then. Oh, I'm still upset with Bria over her decision to open the marriage. I'm also upset with myself for agreeing with her and not pushing back enough. Edit apologies for all of the jargon and missing facts, particularly on Bria's adultery and our separation dynamics. People say it's tough to give counsel without clarity, so here it is. It'll be long, so skip it if you don't want to learn about the past. This was roughly 10 years ago, so I may have missed a few specifics. Bria began acting up 4 months after our younger kid was born. She wouldn't let me get close and said she wasn't ready for sex. Pregnancy and breastfeeding had made her wary of closeness. I supported her decision, but we were slipping apart emotionally. I recommended we go to couples therapy, but she dismissed it, saying it was simply her postpartum phase and she'd recover shortly. It took almost a year before I lost patience and addressed her, stating that we needed to address the elephant in the room. She either attended therapy with me or gave me the truth about what was wrong. She gaslighted me, accusing me of being insensitive and other nonsense. But I refused to let it go this time and probed for the truth. I snooped through her phone but found nothing definite because she had deleted the majority of the chats and emails. I'm not sure how I got the clue, but one day she mentioned she was going shopping with her pals. I followed her automobile and discovered her infidelity. She was sleeping with a young college student. I knocked rather than barged into his residence. Bria was on the couch in her lingerie, trying to cover herself when a shirtless guy responded. I grabbed the guy by the neck and was ready to strike him when Bria interfered, pleading with me to leave him alone. She cried, saying it wasn't his fault. He was only one of the guys she was hooking up with. It blew my mind. What the heck, one of the guys? She admitted to hooking up with several guys. The guy standing in front of me had no idea what was going on or that she was married with children. We returned home, and I did everything any man in my position would do. No, I don't hit. I'm not a violent man. I contacted her parents and confessed the facts in front of everyone. I insisted on the divorce. I even engaged a lawyer and discussed the case. But as things went, the lawyer revealed the truth, which shook me. There was no genuine benefit for me, only loss because the kids were so young. They'd require their mother. At most, I could gain joint custody, but Bria would have to allow me to meet with them and dictate the terms. Yes, I could take her to court if she didn't follow the court order, but how often does a man want to become engaged in legal battles? We live in a no-fault state, so there is no moral policing for her. I still have to pay alimony, and child support is required. So, basically, I handle all of the tasks of a father, but I rely on Bria to spend time with my children. Bria, on the other hand, was opposed to divorce. She proposed that rather than divorcing, we open our marriage and return to each other whenever we wanted. I knew I never wanted her back, but divorce was too expensive at the time. The only practical choice was to separate and live as housemates and co-parents with our children, so we did it. Though she calls it an open marriage or whatever she wants, I consider it a failed strategy, and we have parted. Bria has been with several partners over the last 10 years, though she claims she had no significant relationships with any of them. I believe she had at least 3 sexual partners. They visited our house, and she went trekking and on vacation with them. It was difficult for me to see her bringing different guys into our home, first her adultery, then her multiple partners in our bedroom. We own a duplex house. I moved the guest bedroom upstairs. The stairs leading to it are accessible through the back door. We bought the property from an Asian couple who built it, so their grown-up son could live upstairs in peace. Unfortunately, the son moved out, and the couple sold it to us since it was too big for them. The main entry to the house leads into a living room with a large closed kitchen, a dining area, a master bedroom, and a pantry that we converted into our children's room. Upstairs, there is a guest room, the same size as the master bedroom, and the rest of the space is dedicated to a huge library area for reading and hosting parties. That space leads to the roof of the home, which has a little patio. Since I was moved upstairs, I could see much of what was going on downstairs. I hoped I could close my eyes, but for my children's sake, I remained attentive. I initially joined the dating scene, but after a few months, it felt hollow and useless. I discontinued it and concentrated on other important matters. I joined a badminton club to improve my athletic body. I had been a sports fan in college, so I returned to playing field games on weekends. I also joined a hiking club that plans solo hikes every 2 months. You cannot bring a friend, spouse, or someone you know. You hike alone, and there are others who do as well. It was tremendous fun. I did that for 2 years straight, and now only do it twice a year. I've had a few hookups over the last 10 years, but no emotional affairs or long-term relationships. I didn't feel connected to anyone else. Sarah's situation is different. I feel good around her. She's the woman I believe I can give love another chance with. But now Bria, the devil of my life, has returned to hunt me down. The scenario remains the same. Sarah refuses to come to my apartment. I'm concerned she'll withdraw herself from me, and I don't want to lose her. The scenario forces me to choose between Sarah and my children, and I'm having difficulty making a decision. Update 1. Hello everyone. Thank you for all your suggestions and remarks. I appreciate everything, good and terrible. I sought therapy, which greatly aided me in determining my focus point and what I want out of life at this time. As several of you mentioned, the children are nearing their teen years, so it will only be a matter of a few years before they leave to lead their own lives. It makes no sense to pass up my chance to be happy with Sarah. I had an open discussion with Sarah. I told her about my feelings. I told her I wanted to be with her, and if she felt the same way, we could work things out. She claims she feels the same way but is hesitant due to my family dynamics. She simply does not feel comfortable around my legal wife. She is fine with the youngsters surrounding me. However, I said I could figure this out. I'm going to move out, and the kids can choose where they want to live. They are mature enough to make that choice, and they can alternate between mom and dad. Sarah agreed with the plan. My therapist proposed counseling for the children, in which they might be informed of our marital status in an age-appropriate way. Bria flipped out when I informed her about the counseling. She stated I was being selfish and damaging our children's life by getting serious with Sarah, and that I should put my family first over my own selfish goals. I lost my cool at that. I asked, "Really, Bria? Are you the one advocating family values and morality? What happened to your ethics while you were getting knocked up by various men when your children were still breastfeeding and rolling in their cribs?" I asked her to back off and brought that to the counselor. It was useful. The children responded well and appreciated that we had banded together for their cause. They also agreed that I deserved to be happy for the rest of my life. I informed Bria that I would be filing for divorce. She pretended to be surprised and began sobbing. She stated, "I thought we decided never to divorce and to be together throughout. Now that you have found this woman, you are leaving your family to be with her. I've also met a lot of men who wanted to marry me, but I never gave up my married life for them." I responded, "Stop trying to guilt-trip me. This is not helping. Cut the and sign the paperwork. I'll be paying for the children's education until college, and you can retain the house and the car. This will be your alimony. I will be moving out. I am prioritizing my pleasure over money because I can now afford it. Back then, I couldn't." She cried and tried everything she could to convince me out of getting divorced. She stated I could move out and live with Sarah while still married to her. I said, "I adore Sarah and do not want her to be dubbed my mistress. I know no one calls her that, but you would. You can go to any length to humiliate others. The paperwork should arrive any day soon. I'm moving in with Sarah next month. I am waiting for my children's annual tests to be completed. I'll be taking them on a trip and then moving out. I'll feel relieved when everything is settled." Update 2. I'm telling you, this woman is a true piece of work. As I said in my previous report, I was on holiday with the children. This woman seized the opportunity to carry out her nasty scheme. Bria wept her way to Sarah, telling her to back off. She informed her that she was breaking up our family and that our children would suffer as a result. Bria attempted to guilt Sarah, but when Sarah refused, Bria said that I wasn't serious about her and that she was simply a fling for me. Bria is a cunning, ruthless woman. She knows precisely how to play her cards. She knew I was in a low network zone with the kids, so she promised not to call me, and she didn't. If Sarah had been any other woman, she would have freaked out at the fling phrase, but she remained calm and waited for my return. She had my hotel number, but did not bother me. That's what I admire about her. She's a confident woman despite my complicated situation. When I arrived home and learned of Bria's spiteful move, I marched up to her door and yelled at her. I should have done this sooner to get the garbage out of her mind. Her entitled behavior has gone too far, and no one will tolerate it any longer. I have moved out of my house. My children have also decided to stay with me, but we do not have a spare room. Therefore, I'm looking for a larger property to accommodate them. Until then, kids are remaining with their mother. When I was moving out, Bria performed a variety of tantrums, ranging from guilt-tripping to ranting, gaslighting to sobbing, and pleading for another opportunity. She asked me to give our relationship one more chance. I told her that our relationship had ended 10 years ago. We were only housemates and co-parents. The truth is, I've moved on from loving her. She is nothing to me. I love Sarah and want to spend the rest of my life with her. When Bria received the divorce papers, she tore them up. My lawyer had to issue her a letter threatening to sue her for destroying a legal document. Only then did she calm down and consent to sign them. The divorce proceedings are ongoing. I haven't followed up on my soon-to-be ex-wife since then. I went to pick up my children twice, but did not enter the home. Yes, several of you inquired about my children's ages. They are now 11 and 13, mature enough to understand the divorce and separation. Update 3. I am pleased to inform you that my soon-to-be ex-wife, STBX, is now officially my ex-wife. The main point of this update is that the divorce is finalized, and my children have moved in with me. They will visit their mother every 2 weeks, or whenever they wish. The last month has been hectic, renting a house and relocating belongings. We didn't tell Bria about the kids moving in with me until I rented a new house. We all knew she'd be upset, so we decided to wait as long as possible before telling her. The kids advised packing their bags and sneaking off with me when Bria wasn't looking, but I chose to handle things legally. I did not want to get into another argument with that woman. According to our divorce agreement, we must give each other 3 days' notice if we intend to take the children for more than 2 days. So, I returned home and informed Bria that the children wanted to live with me and that I would pick them up in 3 days. As expected, she freaked out. Fortunately for us, she did not become violent, breaking things and all, which would have made things easier for us. Instead, she took the emotional way. She held the children, cried, apologized for everything, and begged them not to leave her. She did her best to emotionally manipulate them into staying with her. She was even successful with the younger child, who stated that he wanted to stay with Mama. Sarah had warned me that circumstances like these may occur, so I was expecting a last-minute change of heart. When my younger kid called, I told him, "Cool, Dad loves you no matter what." But my oldest son was strong in his choice to move out, so I answered, "Sure, I'll pick you up." I'm not sure what happened in the meantime, but when I went to pick him up, both boys were prepared with their luggage. I hugged both of them and led them away. I didn't inquire as to what had occurred. It was already upsetting enough for them, and I didn't want to further the situation. Sarah and I are attempting to make them feel at ease in our new home. We're involving them in the process of setting up their rooms, ensuring that everything matches their preferences. I expected Bria to make one more effort to stop the children from leaving the house, but she had already given up. She simply sat there crying and screaming. She hugged the boys firmly, apologized for her actions, and assured them that she loved them. She stated they were welcome to return to Ma'am whenever they pleased. Before I departed, she asked if I had time for coffee. Her appeal sounded innocent and sincere, so I accepted. Her tone conveyed regret, and she apologized. This time it did not sound false. She confessed, "I was delusional all along, thinking you would never leave me. When Sarah entered your life, I did not see her as a threat. I assumed she was simply one of those flings that will die out in a month. I believe I took you for granted because of the safety you gave for me and the kids, despite everything I did to you. I didn't realize I was mean and narcissistic until it was too late." I simply smiled and hid my emotions. I rose up to leave, and she approached to hug me. I hugged her back. This was our first hug in 10 years. I can't really absorb how I felt about it, and I can't describe how I feel today following our final talk. I'm not pleased or sad, just numb. That's how it is. My life has changed dramatically during the previous 6 to 7 months. I suppose it will take time for me to process everything. Thank you all for your help. You've been the best. If anything changes from here, I may update the thread. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.